Hello, everyone. Welcome to Superposition Toronto's Uni Expo. So I'll do a little bit of an introduction. So Superposition Toronto is a nonprofit organization that aims to empower young women in STEM, provide them educational opportunities, and create a safe and educational space for everyone. So today we are here at our STEM Uni Expo with our lovely speakers from American universities or international universities. And I'll let them take over for a short introduction. But before that, I'm Annie. Today I will be your moderator host for this section. And we have Kaitlyn.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kaitlyn. I'm also going to be moderating this panel session with Annie as well.
Okay, so now I'll let our lovely hosts take over for their introduction. Would Samantha like to start first?
Yeah, for sure. My name's Sam. I'm from Toronto, and now I'm here as a freshman at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. I'm currently studying cognitive neuroscience and computer science, along with some other classes thanks to Brown's open curriculum, and I'm super excited to be here.
We're glad to have you here. Michelle?
Sure. Sorry, I was off camera for a moment there. So hi, everyone. Great to meet you all. I'm Michelle. I'm currently a junior at Stanford. Stanford is based in the Bay Area of the US. I'm originally from New York, so I'm a little bit out of my element being around Canadian folks, but I'll do my best here. I'm majoring in management science and engineering, which is synonymous to industrial or operations engineering at a lot of other universities, and excited to chat with you all today.
Charu, or anyone can go next, but I'm just calling based on the spotlight.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Charu. I am a senior studying computer science at Cornell University, which is in Ithaca, New York. I'm originally from California, specifically the Bay Area, and I'm also really excited to speak about my experience here today.
Okay, next, can we have Evangeline?
Hi, I'm Evangeline. I'm originally from Toronto-ish, is what I tell people here. I'm from Mississauga. I'm a first year at Harvard University. I'm thinking of studying math, but I don't have to declare until the end of my second year. I might sell out, go into econ, but we'll see.
Everyone, it's really nice to meet you guys. My name is Ashley. I'm originally from Rockville, Maryland. So I'm near Washington, D.C. on the East Coast. And right now I'm studying electrical engineering and computer science at UC Berkeley, which is located in the Bay Area.
Hi everyone, I'm Hannah. I'm from Toronto, like the GTA area. I'm studying at Johns Hopkins University with a major in microbial bio, possibly with a minor in psychology. I am also a student athlete, so I can also answer some questions about that.
I guess I'll go next since I'm also from Hopkins. So I'm Patrick. I'm a senior at Hopkins. Like Hannah, I'm also majoring in molecular bio. I'm also just already finished my second major in applied math and statistics. And this year I'm actually doing my fourth year combined master's program. So I'll graduate at the end of this year with both a bachelor's and a master's in bio. So it's one of the cool programs that Hopkins offers. So yeah, super excited to get to know all of you guys a little bit more.
Hi everyone, I'm Ciara. I'm currently in my final year at Imperial College London and I study biomedical engineering. And I'm also from London, so I'm not American or Canadian, but happy to answer any questions today.
Hey, thank you everyone for introducing ourselves. Without further ado, we're going to move on to some general questions about university. So since we have a variety of you guys speakers from various programs, let's have you guys all tell us, why did you choose your specific program and why at that university? You can just open your mic and speak.
Okay, I'll go first. I chose also bio at Johns Hopkins just because I'm really interested in like the medical pathway, want to become a doctor and whatever. So I thought like most bio really helped me like really focus on that path, and Johns Hopkins like near the medical campus, whatever, I thought it was like a good opportunity.
I can go next. So when I originally applied to Cornell, and I was applying to colleges in general, I was planning on majoring in mechanical engineering. But after I got to like school, I was enrolled in a few extracurriculars that were geared towards it, and I realized that I did not like it at all. Specifically, I didn't like how like narrow it was. And around the same time, I was taking a few computer science classes, and I think something that I really liked about it was how it could be applied in pretty much any field. And so I ended up taking like a few more classes and officially like majoring in computer science. And I think one of the things I really liked about Cornell's engineering specific program is that they make you take one computer science class and one intro to engineering class in like any engineering field, just so that you can get kind of a gist of the different types of engineering, and you have the opportunity to explore other subjects as well. So that's something that I really like about the program that I'm enrolled in.
Anyone else want to go, or I can start picking on people? Evangeline?
So before I had gotten into Harvard, I was completely planning on going to school in Canada. I was planning on going to Waterloo for math. But then once I got my acceptance, it was definitely the financial aid program. I would be paying less than a quarter of what I would be paying to go to Waterloo, including travel. So and the quality of the program is a lot better. The classes are a lot smaller. And then I also wasn't completely sure that I wanted to do math in the long term. So the liberal arts education here, it really allows me to, I'm taking one math class right now, and then I'm taking a Chinese class, I'm taking a freshman seminar, and then I'm taking a writing class. So like at Harvard, you can really do whatever you want, and you can change your major even all the way up to your senior year as long as you manage to get the requirements for it. So.
I can go. So I chose Brown because I love the open curriculum. I didn't know. And for those of you who don't know what that is, we have 0 requirements at the school other than your major. You can choose any major from 100. I'm not sure how many there are. We call them concentrations here. And then once you choose your concentration, you have choice in the classes you do for that concentration, and then all the other classes you take here, you can take in from any department. So, and you also don't have to declare your concentration until the end of second year. So right now I'm taking an intro cognitive neuroscience class called Mind Brain Behavior, an intro comp sci class, an entrepreneurship class, and a sociology class, all like completely different, but you can draw connections between all the classes. And for me, I didn't know exactly if I wanted to do comp sci, cog neuro, and I maybe combine them to do something in AI or machine learning. And you can create an independent concentration here where I could do computational neuroscience, which combines sort of math, comp sci, and neuroscience, and then study whatever you want, which I love personally.
For me, I knew I wanted to like study computer science when I was applying to colleges. So I specifically looked for colleges with strong computer science programs. So like the reason I chose Berkeley was I knew like they had a lot of emphasis on like computer like science education. The curriculum was like really well like spelled out. And since it's a base school, and there's a lot of other people studying computer science. Like there's a lot of other people to like learn from and just like explore like different fields in computer science. Like there's a big like machine learning community here. A lot of people do research, and people also like have their own startups and do entrepreneurship. So it's really like amazing just being around a lot of people who do different things. And also it's since Berkeley's in the Bay Area. It's near Silicon Valley and where a lot of tech companies are. So that's like pretty helpful for like looking for internships.
Yeah, kind of adding on to that, one of the big reasons I chose Hopkins is because of the extensive research opportunities we have here, especially in, like biology, biomedical sciences, and stuff like that. Hopkins is really a school that really prides itself on its research. I'm sure this is something Hannah could also attest to. But they're really like lab opportunities for all students involved. So if you want to get involved with research and you go to Hopkins, chances are you can just email a bunch of labs and you'll probably get an offer, if not multiple offers back, to start working in a lab. So I started doing research in my lab freshman spring, and I've been working in the same lab ever since. I'm doing my master's in that same lab now. So it's been a really great opportunity to, do research and, learn what it's like to be a scientist first.
I'll echo what Ashley also said about being in the heart of Silicon Valley. For those of you who don't know, Berkeley and Stanford are pretty close to one another. I think for me, that was something that was really exciting coming from the East Coast or coming from a community that wasn't excited about entrepreneurship. And I found that to be true in my major as well. So I came into Stanford kind of wanting to study sociology. And then I found management science and engineering, which was this great way of understanding applied engineering to more liberal artsy ends. So in my major, I get to take social classes, understand how businesses operate, and then take the programming and optimization classes that help me actually run a business. So for me, what I was really excited about at Stanford was just entrepreneurship was at its core, even throughout the major I'm doing. Yeah.
For me, I think like kind of similar reasons to what Samantha has said. Like at Imperial, you kind of do 2 years of general engineering before you really take like in your final 2 years, like modules that you're specifically interested in related to biomedical engineering. So like I have, like, I guess, kind of similar interests as Samantha, like computational neuroscience. So like the degrees basically allow me to choose like some neuroscience stuff, some like machine learning things, some maths, and basically like tailor the degree towards the end, like the area or the specialization that I really enjoy. Whereas like in the UK, generally universities don't really allow you to do that. So it was like in the UK, like a standout for Imperial.
Okay, great. So moving on to the next question. Now that we know why you all chose your specific program, what did that transition feel like going from your high school life to your university life now?
I love the university experience freshman fall personally. I thought that, it was a very different experience. I think it was, a bit more intense. Classes were a bit more fast paced than high school. I also didn't go to like a super competitive high school, so it was a bit of an adjustment. But what I found really helpful my freshman fall was just, finding groups of friends within my classes that I could study with and work together alongside. And for me, I think that made the transition actually fairly smooth overall. Just, because I was able to find that good support network.
I found the transition like not that bad because I thought the workload was basically the same, but it's a lot more fast paced. Yeah, like what Patrick said. Like a lot of the deadlines are much closer together for all your courses. But like when Hopkins had like orientation before school started, it was like a great opportunity to make new friends and like just form these bonds before you actually start the schoolwork.
My transition was like Hannah's. It was pretty well thought out. It wasn't too difficult. I think I've adjusted pretty well. The nice thing about Harvard is that they really focus on making sure their first years are taken care of. So to some extent, they coddle you and they really they hold your hand, they walk you through everything. But that's just because not everybody comes from the same place and not everybody is necessarily as socially prepared, or as in they don't have guidance counselors, parents that know how like Harvard works. So some people do need to be handheld. I was one of them and I really, really appreciated it. And then also the classes, you come into school with an imagination of what you think classes will be like, how much you're going to be doing work, like how many breakdowns you're going to have. But really, it wasn't that bad. So for any of like my seniors out there, don't worry.
Yeah, I similar to like everyone else who's spoken so far, I also had a pretty good transition coming here for my freshman year. I think Cornell specifically makes you take like a peer advising class, so you're like put in you're forced to meet other kids who are in similar programs. I think the hardest thing for me was probably the weather. Coming from California and like hitting an upstate New York winter is like a big difference because there's a lot of snowstorms and it's very cold. So just like that was the hardest part, I would say, of my transition. But even that, it was like still is very new, so it was exciting.
Yeah, I think I had some similar experiences to some of other you guys. The orientation at the beginning, there were a lot of grade-wide events where I can make friends with similar and diverse interests, which is something I really love about being here. It's also another huge thing I've noticed difference between high school and college is that everyone's kind of on their own track and on their own path and has different goals. High school, you're kind of taking similar classes to everyone around you, and it's a bit more of like a competitive atmosphere here, at least at Brown. Everyone's on each other's side and cheering for each other, which is another thing I love because we're all just on such different pathways. Like I love just hearing what my friends are learning in class. We'll sit around at lunch, like this is cheesy, but we'll genuinely like talk about what we're learning and like how interesting it is. So you can learn from other people. People will suggest classes. You'll take those classes next semester. And I honestly think that's just something I love, especially about college, which is different than high school.
Does anyone else want to share? Oh, I see Clara.
Yeah, I could add I think just reiterating what everyone had really said. I thought the transition was easier than I had expected. I expected like the environment to be more competitive when I was there and like not to kind of make friends as easily. But the first kind of, I think you guys call it semester in US and stuff, but it's the first semester is like it's just a lot more like chill, and like other people had said, they generally try and make things like a bit more walkthrough. Like they help you with like, getting everyone to the same level and just making sure that like everyone's understanding is at the same point so that then the following years like they can go a bit faster. And yeah, like the deadlines do kind of gradually get closer together, but at the start like they do allow you to have some time to explore like the area that you've moved into, make new friends, and just like generally enjoy the atmosphere.
Okay, now let's move on to the next question. This one is a little bit interesting. What is your favorite part of life at university? This can include like meal plan, proximity to restaurants, extracurricular activities, housing, etc. Also, I'd like to add that maybe you guys can actually raise your hands on Zoom so that we can know the order that you guys want to speak in. I think that'd be a little bit more organized. But yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I thought that the meal plan here was pretty good. I mean, they're like the options, they have lots of options for you to choose from. They like you have enough to eat, like you can take whatever you want and then leave for the next day if you really need to. There's also a lot of restaurants on like the street nearby, like Chipotle, Subway, some bagel places that are really good. And I think they're like just really in close proximity. And then there's also like good public transportation that's free for Johns Hopkins students. So if you want to go to like another town, then you can, another town to eat something, then it's like really easy to use.
Well, add on to what Hannah said. I mean, beyond just like the main street where you get all the food, I mean, there's other food elsewhere on campus too. We have the shuttle that Hannah's kind of alluded to that basically gives you free transportation anywhere at night. So, a lot of students come back from, events or things like that late at night, and they offer, free shuttles for your own safety. Now the shuttles go downtown as well, so you can take them down to the Baltimore Inner Harbor So a lot of students have been doing that too.
I would say that what I really like about my school is that there's always just so much to do compared to living in like the suburbs and being restricted to your house and like the 5 miles around you. But here, there's Harvard Square right across the street from me. There's tons of restaurants open until like 4 a.m. And there's also like the public transportation system, the MBTA. There's a red line stop right in the square. It takes you all the way across Boston. So you can go to Chinatown, you can go to Newbury Street, the Prudential Center, and then the Harvard shuttle itself, it takes you through Harvard's campus and across the river. So there's really never a lack of anything to do or anywhere to go. There's always clubs running on every single night. There's like a club throwing soiree, a study break, a kickback. So yeah, I think that's what I've really enjoyed about moving to university.
I think my favorite part about Cornell is probably the extracurriculars. I think that they offer so many different clubs that it's hard to find something, like it's hard to find something that, or it's hard not to find something that you're interested in. Especially since our campus is not near a big city. To get to New York City, you actually have to drive 4 hours outside of Ithaca. And so it's like in a lot of farmland kind of places. So I think that's something that's really cool about our school is that there's like a lot of agriculture and a lot of nature-y things to do. And so a lot of extracurriculars tie into that as well. Like there's a lot of hiking clubs, there's like a dairy club, there's a bee keeping club and things like that. And there's also a squirrel watching club, but I think that's common on a lot of different campuses. But I think that's something that I really like about my school specifically.
Yeah, so my reasons are pretty similar to like ones listed before. So I really like the location of my school. Like Berkeley is a pretty urban area, so there's a lot of like things to do, like good food to eat. But we're also like surrounded by like a lot of like good hiking trails. So you can easily like go on hikes and do other like nature things as well, even though we're like in a very like urban place. And I also really like the like extracurriculars offered here. Since there are like a lot of people at Berkeley, like there's a lot of like different communities and there's like there's clubs for like every single like niche. And like even like with these clubs, it's they're usually like pretty good, like large and well run. Like one like community I really like is the Association of Women in EECS at Berkeley. It's a really like wholesome community of like women who's like studying CS, and it's like really nice just to like hype each other up and like just basically just be like a like giant friend with that.
I can touch on this a bit. So I touched on this a bit before, how I love how everyone's on a different path and has different goals and is taking all these interesting classes that you learn from. Something else I really like are all the opportunities and extracurriculars. Even now, I kind of went crazy and signed up for a bunch, but now I've sort of narrowed it down to a few. Some examples are I'm in the AI Robotics Ethics Society, where we talk about different ethical issues about AI and robotics, which is super prevalent right now. Also in an organization called Best Buddies, which works with people with intellectual disabilities. Something called Camp Kesem, which organizes a week-long summer camp for children whose parents have experiences with cancer. Those are just a few of the different organizations I'm a part of, but as you can see from those examples, they're all super different. And by joining these, you meet other people who have similar interests, similar passions and values, and then you can bring those friendships like outside of the clubs and organizations, hang out with them, learn from what they're learning in classes, and kind of just build network from clubs, activities, and classes.
Yeah, kind of actually relating to Samantha, like the student kind of clubs and societies, like at Imperial, like there's the most number of societies at Imperial than like any other university in the UK. So like same kind of thing. I'm involved with quite a few different clubs. One of them is like Women in STEM, like Psychology Society, my like department Society for Bioengineering, like badminton, like things like this. So it's like a really nice opportunity for you to meet other people outside of your own like degree specialization. And also, like, if you think of London and like kind of your stereotypical picture of London, like kind of old buildings being quite posh, like that's very much the area of Imperial. Like it's just like a really nice atmosphere, and there's loads of like fancy restaurants. The only problem is it's a little bit expensive, but there are like other places where, like you can go for like cheaper food. But yeah, it's just a really nice atmosphere in the area.
I can go next. So a couple of the reasons I chose Stanford and I really love the community there is first, also like probably all these panelists have mentioned, lots of clubs to choose from. I really liked how I could find a balance of professional communities and communities for fun. Like one of the professional communities I'm part of is Stanford Women in Business, which is great to just have like awesome women around me who are also interested in the same field. Another organization that I just do for fun is the Stanford Concert Network. So we put on local concerts in the Bay Area. It's just a great excuse to reach out to our favorite artists and bring them to campus. Another thing that I really love about Stanford is being from the East Coast. It's so surreal to walk around and see palm trees everywhere. I think Stanford is like top 10, one of the largest college campuses in the US. So I just love the nature aspect of it and to be able to walk around.
I still see that we have a couple of hands up, unless you forgot to put them down. Samantha or Ciara? Okay, so I guess we'll move on to the next question. The next question is more admission specific. What are some of your tips for writing a really outstanding personal statement and having a great application?
Okay, sorry. So just like saying in general stuff, like don't make it personal. Don't be very dry when writing it. So make a personal story, correct it how it impacted your life, how it made you, like why did you choose your university. I think it's also a good tip to include the name of your university and what major / program you want to go to also in that essay, so it seems more specific to the university itself, not like a general essay that could be applied to any other one. But also when I say personal, don't make it like extravagant, like include any trauma. We want it personal and it has to be impacting your life.
So when I think of like the personal statement, I'm thinking about like the Common App statement. Maybe Hannah was talking more about like the school specific, but I would definitely not recommend putting like one school's name in your Common App application because every school sees that one. For the personal statement, I would really say that the most important thing is you're talking about yourself, how you were impacted. For example, if you were talking about your relationship with like a family member, it's going to be about your family member, it's not going to be about yourself. So you want to talk about yourself, how you've grown from it, what's going to change in the future. And you want to let your admissions officer see something about you that they wouldn't have seen elsewhere in the application. Because here you have like 600 words to talk about whatever you'd like.
Yeah, kind of echoing what everyone else has said. I think one other really important thing is to make sure that like your voice is heard through your essay. If you're really passionate about a certain subject and you're writing like your major specific or like college specific essay, like make sure that comes through. And also when you're writing your essays that are about a specific school, do your research on the school as well and see what programs they have that might be interested and mention that in your essay as well. I think those are all like very important, but like most of all, just make sure that like your passion and your voice comes through.
Yeah, something else, be unique. I know it's kind of obvious and hard to know if you're being unique or not as admissions officers are reading so many essays, but that kind of explains why you should think outside the box, be creative, be unique. They're reading thousands of essays a day, and if you sound like the one before you or the one after you, chances are your application might not be as successful. I think they spend like 8 minutes or something per application, so you want to like leave a mark on your reader. also connect, like what people have said, connect things about yourself and things that are important to you with what you want to do in the future, your past experiences, your future experiences, maybe put in some personal anecdotes and stories. I know I did that, and I think it's powerful when you can read examples of very personal, specific situations rather than just general information about yourself.
Yeah, one of the pieces of advice like I was told when I was writing like my like statement or essay was like get people who you kind of know well, like in terms of like your teachers or maybe a couple of friends to read it, and basically like if they can get like a vibe of your statement that they can get your character from your statement, like it reflects you as a person, and like there's a sense of like I don't know what the word is, but like being genuine in it, and like basically checking for that like authenticity in your statement, because the people like you are with all the time in high school know you the most, and like that's what you want to convey to people who will read it. Like some of us said, you only have like around 8 minutes to impress someone, so you really want to put yourself across as best as you can.
I think it's also really helpful to like think of the scenario in which this is being read. Typically, sometimes the admission reader can just push yours to the front and say yes, but a lot of times they have to go and advocate for you in front of a committee. So it's helpful to kind of tell a story or like make a persona for yourself throughout your application. So maybe pick like 3 or 4 standout items about yourself. Maybe you're really interested in 3 or 4 things, and kind of create like a sellable kind of personality or persona around that your admissions reader can really go to bat for you with those characteristics. So maybe you're incredible in biology research, you're really excited about music and a couple of other things. Find ways to weave those into your essays and package it so it makes it easier for them.
I also wanted to say that in the chat, there's a lot of people talking about like standing out, being super unique, being the only person. But I put off writing my essay for months because I was like, what can I write about that's like completely unique? No one's ever done it before. And realistically, you're not that special, you know? Harvard students, there's probably 30 more of us that look just like us. There's nothing that makes you completely unique, and everything you're going to be writing, they've read before. So what you need to do is you have to show that who you are as a 3-dimensional person. And I recently got the opportunity to look at my admissions file, and what my officers wrote about my essays were that it's good that she knows she doesn't have it all figured out, and that it was touching, and I'm sure her teachers would have been glad to read this. Like, it doesn't need to be some type of magical, elusive essay that you've never thought of before.
Right, and I guess adding on to that, like a follow-up question, if you could go back in time, what would you do differently during the university application process?
I would say like not stress so much about it, like try not to overthink it. I think everyone overthinks it. Like I think I got into this point where I was like reading my statement so many times that like I just didn't know what to do with it anymore, and that's why like I started asking other people. But like you can only do your best with the statement, and like you shouldn't like kick yourself over about it because like something like a phrasing's not perfect or whatever. But I don't know if I would do anything else different, but yeah, that's all I have to say.
I think something very important, which I tried to do, but definitely could have been done better, is really not talk about the process with other people that are also your age and your year. It's super stressful when you know who else is applying to the same schools, who else is applying to other schools and whatnot, and it just adds like an unnecessary pressure. So keep to yourself, and if people are asking you, just say, I don't know, I'd prefer not to talk about it, or if it helps you, do talk about it. But for me, I just was more successful under less external pressure.
That was exactly what I was going to say, especially like being Canadian. It's really hard to get into a US school. And if you're going around telling everybody, oh, I'm applying here, eventually, like especially with how cutthroat admissions can be, you're going to have to go around and say, oh, actually, I didn't get in, so I'm going here. There's plenty of great schools in Canada. And I think I personally wish I set my expectations that I was going there rather than going into admissions thinking, oh, I'm gonna like do all these amazing things, because realistically, if my admissions officer was just having a bad day, I wouldn't be here right now. And so I was just really lucky. And then also, don't apply REA. Like single choice, early action, it's just not worth it. I've lived and learned. You're better off applying to a lot of places EA, or applying to one place that you really, really, really love, ED.
I guess I can go next. My advice is actually similar to what Evangeline was talking about earlier, about like how statistically like you won't like your essay won't like be unique like someone else has like always said it before. I think personally I focus too much on like trying to be unique and like trying to write something like different rather than trying to like be like honest to myself and like write something that like shows myself in like an honest light essentially.
So something that looking back on like when I was applying, I applied to Cornell ED or early decision. So it's kind of binding. So once I got in, I had to rescind all my other applications and I had to go to Cornell. And I think for me personally, that was the best decision because I knew that if I had gotten into every school on my list, I would have chosen Cornell no matter what. But something to like think about is like you should really think this decision through and like some of the minute details. Like when I was applying, I kind of passed off weather and like the location as like trivial factors. But in reality, like it is quite like difficult to get to Cornell. There's like a lot of delays and stuff. And so that's something that I wish I had taken more into account when I applied. But even so, like I do think this was the best decision for me.
Samantha, do you have anything to add on?
Sorry, I keep forgetting to lower the hand.
No worries. So moving on to our next question, what kinds of financial aid and opportunities are available at your university? So for example, scholarships, co-op, or even internship opportunities.
Okay, so I think JHU has like a really good like financial aid system. Basically, they give you 100% of your financial need. So whatever you / your parents can't pay, JHU will cover for you. They also have different grants, like the JHU grant, federal Pell Grant that you, like some of them you don't have to apply for, but some that you do like through FAFSA, the financial aid system. There's also some scholarships that you can apply for, like some like a Hodson Trust Scholarship that like 20 people get into out of all the applicants, but it's like it does help you a lot. But also there's a lot of work opportunities here. Like we have a system called Smile where you just apply, like you just look through all the jobs they have available and you can apply to multiple and you can reach out to any professors, you can get paid for research. So there's a lot of opportunities where you can earn money to like pay for anything you need.
This is universal for the Ivy League schools, but the financial aid program is crazy because it's completely based on need based. So even if you're an international student, it's completely based on what your parents can afford to pay for. But some Ivy League schools are better than others in financial aid. I think Harvard is one of the better ones. There's also a lot of work opportunities. There's Crimson Careers, which are employers posting that they specifically want Harvard students for their positions. There's also opportunity fairs, career fairs posted straight through Crimson Careers. I had the opportunity to attend a diversity opportunities fair, but I got to speak to a lot of interesting people and I applied for a few internships, so hopefully that works out. Unpaid internships in the summer, however, and unpaid research opportunities in the summer, Harvard does pay for. Harvard will send you money as a student to cover that work.
Okay, does anyone else want to add to that? Patrick, Michelle?
Yeah, I'm happy to chime in. So Stanford also typically doesn't do merit scholarships unless you're a student athlete, which is actually why a lot of student athletes choose Stanford, because they can get a full ride for their athletic accomplishments. The rest is pretty need-based and taking out federal loans for those who are based out of the US. In our financial aid letters, there is typically a component that accounts for you getting a campus job. So there are a lot of campus jobs, which I do find is a great benefit, and also campus jobs where you get to work on opportunities you might work on in clubs already. For example, one of my campus jobs was like working on creating an accelerator for student founders, which is something also a club on campus does. So it was great to be paid to do something I might have already done in my club journey.
Okay, so before we move on to our breakout rooms, just one last question to our grade 11 and 12s here. Can you guys give them like a little piece of advice, little words of encouragement? Yeah.
My piece of advice is really to not stress too much because, you know, a lot of the stuff in the university application process is sort of out of your control. This is actually something that someone from my high school told me like a long time ago, and this advice is actually pretty good. There are certain things within your inner circle and outer circle. Basically, inner circle is stuff that you can control, and outer circle is stuff you can't control. So what you can control are like doing well in your classes, doing well in your extracurriculars, you know, making a good impact on your community. But what's out of your control is, you know, what the admissions officers or whatnot are going to think of you. So no matter how like much you put in, there's only so much that you're actually able to control. So, you know, just keep that in mind when you're going through this process and, you know, think about, you know, like things work out or maybe, you know, you don't get into your dream school. That's okay. Chances are a lot of the stuff was out of your control anyway. So, you know, just come with a positive mindset and, you know, hope for the best.
Yeah, I have some similar advice to Patrick. And I remember like sitting in my room like pretty much a year ago today on a similar panel to this one that was run by my school and hearing people say, oh, don't worry, it all works out. And I'm like, okay, yeah, right. Like easy coming from you sitting there at like your dream school. But genuinely, like it does all work out. Like I have friends that did get into their top choice, friends that didn't. And everyone has been enjoying their time at school. Like you will genuinely find your people anywhere, find your passions, and there's so many different amazing classes and so many amazing schools that like truthfully all my friends who just started university this year are having a great time wherever they did land, whether it was their first choice or not.
My pieces of advice would be use as many resources. Sorry, I had bronchitis last week. Use as many resources as you can. Almost every single last piece of advice I got was from the internet. Like I didn't really have resources here. So scour that internet and then also do what you love, pursue what you're passionate about, because ultimately what you will succeed at will be things that you are emotionally invested in. There's no point in joining band if you hate music and you hate playing instruments. So
Right. Okay. Does anyone have any last words here before we move into our big breakout rooms? Right. So I think Jenny created the breakout rooms and yeah. Okay, so feel free to join any breakout room you want. In these breakout rooms, you can direct your specific questions. Okay, so are we good here? Okay, so I believe everyone is here. So it's 5:30. That brings us to the end of our STEM Uni Expo. I'd like to give a big thank you to all of our panelists here for taking the time out of their day to provide insight and advice to our lovely participants. So to all our participants, please drop a big thank you to everyone here. Yeah, that's basically it. Thank you everyone for coming, and I hope you guys stay in touch with Superposition's future initiatives.
Bye guys, great to meet you all.